Hi folks, it's Andy. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Bit of an informal video today. It's something that's sort of been on my mind a little bit and I wanted to talk about. Shimpan, refereeing, how we can maybe do it better, kind of mentality that we could have that might improve our ability as Shimpan, and how important Shimpan is in our Kendo development. Definitely something I want to talk about. It's based off a few things, some of my own experiences, as well as some things I've seen, like comments and stuff that I've seen going around the internet. People often comment on things that I post, for example. So yeah, I really wanted to address that. Before we jump into it too far though, don't forget to support the channel by shopping at KendoStar.com. It's my website. It's amazing. Go and shop there. Yeah. So talking about Shimpan. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff that's made me think about a lot of things. I think the first thing I want to talk about is the importance of Shimpan in Kendo. First of all, I think one issue that we've got in Kendo is lots of us in the West, outside of Japan, start to experience Shimpan too late, start to experience refereeing too late in our sort of Kendo journey. Often it's like well after you get third or fourth dan, people don't even have a clue about doing Shimpan. They've never done it before. When really, you need to start it much earlier. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go and officiate an official taikai, or referee at a big taikai, something like that. But, I think instructors should try and make some sort of effort to get lower level kendoka. Maybe if there's like Q grade tournaments and stuff like that, or whatever, where like people who are first dan or second dan can get that refereeing experience as well. It's crucial in your Kendo development that you do Shimpan. I don't know of a successful kendoka that hasn't done a lot of Shimpan in their life, right? Even the young guys that are playing in the All Japan Championships, they've been doing Shimpan since they were junior high school students, because they have to referee their own matches with each other. So it's really important, okay? And it's important because you have to develop a proper understanding of Yuko Datotsu, valid strikes, and you can't do that just through practice. You can't do it just through Mitori Geiko. You actually have to be put on the spot and judge those as well. It's very important to do that. So definitely, first of all, think that it should be encouraged even in lower levels, first dan, second dan, to participate more doing Shimpan. Now, what I really want to talk about though is how to be good, or how to improve at doing Shimpan, and what mentality you should really take in order to improve your Shimpan ability. Something I've seen a lot, and I guess this was the trigger for this video, is I've seen a lot of comments that people often make on YouTube videos or on Facebook posts or whatever, where it's like, well, I didn't think that was Ippon, or I didn't think that was good enough. Like there'll be a Shiai video, like from the All Japan Championships, and someone's like, yeah, I don't think that was good enough for Ippon, or something like that. Or if I was the referee, I wouldn't have given it, and that sort of thing. And the thing is, look, yeah, of course, the Shimpan are human and they make mistakes. That's part and parcel of it. But at the same time, if you're talking about, now I'm talking about high-level Shiai here. I'm not talking about like a local tournament where the Shimpan themselves aren't super experienced. But I'm talking like tournaments where the Shimpan are all like 8th dan, Hanshi 8th dan or something like that, like the All Japan Championships or the All Japan 8th dan Championships. To sit there and say, I don't think that was Ippon, is the same as saying, I think those Hachidan don't understand Yuko Datotsu. It's the same as saying that. So if you find yourself, and I've had this experience where I found myself looking at it and I've thought, well, that isn't a decision I agree with at my current point. That doesn't match with what I was under the impression of should be considered valid. So if I had been in place of that Shimpan, if I had been doing that, maybe I wouldn't have awarded that. Instead of thinking, well, that means that person's wrong, maybe it's better to think there's a mismatch with what is right, what is actually right, and what my understanding of that is, if that makes sense. So rather than they made the wrong decision, maybe my understanding of Yuko Datotsu isn't quite correct. all right? So when I see a point like that where it's like, oh, well, that doesn't meet the criteria in the way I understand it to be, that's a chance for me to improve my understanding of Yuko Dototsu rather than for me to criticize the Shimpan. Of course, like I said, sometimes the Shimpan makes some mistakes, but it's very rare that the mistake is like completely 100% a glaring obvious mistake. Usually it might be a mistake. I hesitate to use that word mistake because a part of the criteria isn't properly fulfilled, and we'll look at an example of that in a minute. But that doesn't necessarily mean that is a complete rubbish decision on the behalf of the Shimpan. So we'll talk about that in a second. I've got a particular example that came to my mind about it, which we'll look at. But yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you are someone that does Shimpan, which should be most people that are certainly over fourth dan, but you know, especially if you're like in a position where you are doing Shimpan quite a lot and you're watching Kendo online or you're watching other high level Shiai, like if you go and watch the All Japan Championships live or something like that, try not to look at it when you see a decision that doesn't match with what you consider valid. Try not to look at it as why was that sort of that shouldn't be Ippon, sorry. Don't look at it as that shouldn't be Ippon, and instead try to consider it from why is that Ippon, okay? Because it is Ippon, because the Shimpan decided it is, and they're the authority in that situation to decide what it is. So how does that meet the criteria to be Ippon, even if that isn't within the realms of what I thought it was originally? How has that been interpreted to do that? And I think you'll improve your Shiai ability, your Shimpan ability in that way. It's not something I see that often. It's not something I experience that much in Japan, actually. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to show you a very important, very famous case of this right now. So let's get into it and have a look. So here we are. This is a video from the All Japan Kendo Federation, and this is from the 58th All Japan Kendo Championships final between Susumu Takanabe sensei and Ryoichi Uchimura sensei. Two very, very accomplished, very famous, very strong competitors. Right now, I think they're both Kyoshi 7th Dan. Both of them are experienced in the All Japans and the World Championships. And of course, this Shiai will have been refereed. This is the final of the All Japan Championships. These are 8th Dan senseis, and you don't get higher level Shimpan than this. So we're going to watch the final point, okay? There, okay? So, okay, so a few things happen there that's quite interesting, okay? So first, we can see Mr. Takanabe on the left. He attacks men, the banner men. The referees signal the white flag, which is actually Mr. Uchimura's flag, okay? But they realize that they've made the wrong color, so they switch to the right, to the red flag, okay? So they clearly intended to signal for Mr. Takanabe, not for Mr. Uchimura. One more time. Okay, you see them switch over like that. Okay? And we're gonna watch it one more time, all right? One more time. So when watching this, I remember watching this live on TV when it happened, and when you watch that, that's a clear men Ippon, okay? Just as Mr. Uchimura steps forward, Mr. Takanabe, bam, with that lightning fast men strike that he's famous for, okay? Now we're going to watch a couple other videos of the same Ippon. So this video is from the All Japan Kendo Federation again. This is the same Ippon from a different angle with a high-speed slow-motion camera, okay? A high-speed slow-motion camera. So remember, Mr. Takanabe is the red player. Okay, so there he strikes the men. It's a bit hard to see, isn't it, from this angle. But I don't think many of the Shimpan were from this angle. I think they were from the other angle. Okay, but it doesn't look terrible. Though it starts to look questionable the more you look at it as to whether it actually made contact with the men. But it's hard to see from this angle. Let's take another look from a different angle. So here we are now. This is another video of the very same ippon from another angle again. And this is from the Loganberry channel. This is a great channel, actually. So let's watch this one. Mr. Takanabe here is on the right, by the way, in the red. Okay, so we're getting a slow motion close-up of the moment of the strike. And did you see that? One more time. See if we can see it's clearly not making contact with the men. Clearly not, okay? It's clearly not. Is this ippon or is it not ippon? That's the question when you look back at it in slow motion like this. Now, we don't have this kind of slow motion replay when we're refereeing. Of course we don't, okay? Of course we don't, right? And I remember this happening. This is 10 years ago now when this happened. And I remember a little bit of conversation happened in the international community, in the English language speaking community at least, saying like that wasn't ippon, it didn't hit the men. You know, it didn't actually hit the target. Which we can see here is obviously true. It clearly didn't strike the target. But like I said, all those comments were, that wasn't ippon. That shouldn't be ippon. I wouldn't award that ippon. Now, first off, we're going to just quickly look at that strike one more time from the original angle at full speed. So we're back to the original video here. Mr. Takanabe on the left. This is the full speed version. Now, I don't know about you, but that's too fast for me to see if it hits or not. I think he hit part of the kote, so it sounds quite a lot like striking the futon. He's got a very powerful fumikomi, so it sounds good. It's hard to see that it didn't hit the target. It looks like it hit the target, actually. And you can see the referees confidently, immediately signaling the point. Now, like I said, a lot of the comments that I read at around the time were, that's not ippon, that shouldn't be ippon. And this was from the English language point of view. Interestingly, a lot of the comments from the Japanese side, and I remember watching this at the time with my family, my father-in-law, and he said that was a fantastic men ippon. And they even showed this in slow motion, so you could see in the slow motion that it didn't actually quite hit the bogo. So this one as well says, 当たってはないけど一本だよ. So, and then 会場の誰もが一本だと思う一撃だった. So this is the first comment, and the comments, they all say similar things, that even though it didn't actually hit, it's ippon. Everybody there would agree that it's ippon, and a strike that is ippon. And the thing is, look, in this particular example, as Mr. Uchimura comes forward to make the strike, he realizes that Takanabe sensei has taken the sen, he's taking the initiative, and he's about to receive the banner men. So he bails out and tries to abandon ship. And in that way, he's defeated in that instant. Okay, he's defeated in that instant. Takanabe sensei has completely controlled the situation and made this fantastic strike. It hasn't definitely struck the correct part of the bogo, it hasn't struck it at all. But all of the other components of this ippon are pretty much perfect. And whether it's hit or it hasn't hit, it's not to say it's not important, because it is. But when you look at a point like this that happened at such high speed and played out like it did, it clearly met all of the other criteria. So I remember at the time myself, 10 years ago, I remember myself looking at it and thinking, that shouldn't be ippon. That, you know, I had that mentality too. But, you know, now as I've progressed along my journey in Kendo more and more, I look back at it and I think to myself, well, no, I shouldn't be looking at it in that point of view. That it's not why that shouldn't be Ippon. It's how is that Ippon? That's Ippon because the fantastic Datotsu no Kikai, amazing controlling the initiative, taking the sen. You know, it has everything. There's just when you see it happen in full. Wow, Ippon. That's how you feel, yeah? And I think that, of course, for Mr. Uchimura, this must be disappointing straight after the Shiai, but I expect he even accepts this as Ippon now, you know, sometime after the fact. And there's other examples. There's other examples. Another one is the very famous match between Miyazaki Masahiro sensei and Eiga Naoki sensei. That's from the very famous documentary where Miyazaki sensei strikes the men and Eiga sensei does the men kaishido. And even Eiga sensei says in that documentary that even though the men didn't strike his actual men, he felt that he was defeated in that encounter, and therefore the decision was correct to award Miyazaki sensei with the men. Because Kendo's not just about hitting the board with the shinai, right? So the thing is this is an extreme example where we're talking about something that's very obvious, whether you hit or don't hit the strike zone. But this applies to other areas as well when the target is hit. Okay, so when the target is accurate, you know, yeah, it might not have perfect posture. Yes, it might not have perfect zanshin. Might not have perfect, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, but there's all these different things that have to be considered as a whole sort of picture, you know. And for this reason, you know, when you see a point that a high level, you know, these high level Shimpan are awarding, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I wouldn't have given that. I think you'll improve more if you look at that from the point of view is, okay, well, where is it that my understanding is lacking, rather than that guy is wrong. You know what I mean? That's the kind of attitude I think you're going to improve more from. And I think this is something we definitely need to improve in the international community in terms of Shimpan. My experience of doing a lot of Shiai around the world and a lot of Shiai in Japan too, there's a very big difference in the ability of Shimpan in both situations. And there's differences in both directions. A lot of Shimpan, and this is on the whole, of course there's individual differences, but I'm generalizing intentionally. On the whole, Shimpan outside of Japan, there's several things that they're much better at than their Japanese counterparts. Things like the actual movement on the shiaijo, using the correct signals, holding the flags correctly, using the correct commands, using the correct what do you call it, the movement and stuff like that, and like a full understanding of the rules actually is often higher outside of Japan. Often you see the Shimpan in Japan, they don't really keep the good triangle, or they hold the flags a bit rubbish. Obviously not the high level 8th dan Shimpan, I'm talking like kind of the lower level, like 6th dan, 7th dan type Shimpan. You know, they don't always hold the flag properly, they don't have the good posture, or they don't have everything tied up in that respect. But even the really lower level Shimpan in Japan that are like the high school students when they're Shimpaning with each other, or they're, you know, when they become adults, the sort of 5th dan level Shimpans, they might not be great with that sort of thing on the whole. Of course, there are ones that are fantastic with it. But their ability to interpret and recognize and validate Yuko Datotsu, valid strikes, is on the whole, in general, quite a lot higher than elsewhere. So again, this is not individual cases, this is on the whole, okay? This is probably controversial, but it shouldn't be. It's just a fact. And how it is. The standard of understanding or recognizing Yuko Datotsu in Shiai outside of Japanese Shiai is somewhat lower. And I think you could probably measure it. That's not to say that there aren't good Shimpan outside of Japan. Absolutely not, because there are fantastic Shimpan in every country, I'm sure of it. There certainly are in my country and in most of the countries that I've been to, at least. So it's not that. I'm talking about the overall level on the whole, okay? Taking account of everyone. So yeah, I want to help improve that, which is why I'm kind of making this video. I'm not sure if this will do much to help, but you know, if you sit here and you watch this video even and like, hey, you kind of, you know, you dissing on our Shimpan or something like that, then that's the wrong way to take this. All right, that's not how I'm trying to put this out there. What I'm trying to say is that discrepancy exists, and here's how we can improve it, and that's by not looking at really senior Shimpan and saying they did it wrong, but instead accepting that we might have a point in our own understanding of Yuko Datotsu which might not fully match with what it's supposed to be, which is why we're coming to a different decision than what those Shimpan would. I think this is the same sort of thing you would hear. I'm pretty sure they would, you know, if you went to a Shimpan seminar with those sort of level of senseis, I'm pretty sure they'd say that sort of thing. So that's it. That's my ramble. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm talking rubbish. If so, that's fine. Leave me a comment down below. I'll see you all next time. Shop at KendoStar. Bye-bye.